Okay, real talk. There is a famous rumor on the internet that mattress stores are secretly fronts for money laundering. Like, they're not actually selling beds, they're secretly washing dirty money for criminals. And honestly, when you first hear it, it kind of makes sense. Because think about it, you've seen these stores. There's one on basically every corner. The lights are always on. There are rows and rows of beds just sitting there, and there is never ever anyone inside. Just one lonely salesperson standing by the window, waiting for a customer who never shows up. So people looked at all that and went, there is no way this is a real business. Something shady has to be going on. Well, I went all the way down the rabbit hole on this one. I read the news reports, the company documents, the whole thing. And here's the twist. It's not money laundering. The real answer is actually way weirder and honestly way more clever than the conspiracy theory. Mattress stores aren't breaking the rules of business. They figured out how to bend them. And by the end of this video, I promise you will never look at an empty mattress store the same way again. You're going to drive past one and go, oh, I know exactly what you're doing in there. So here's the plan. I'm going to show you 5 sneaky reasons these stores are everywhere and still make a fortune while looking totally empty. We'll cover the secret math hiding inside a single mattress, a pricing trick most shoppers have literally never noticed, why there are sometimes 2 stores right across the street from each other on purpose, and then the big one. What actually happened with that money laundering rumor and the giant mattress company at the center of it all? Let's get into it. Let's start with the question everyone asks. How does an empty store even survive? And the first answer is this. An empty mattress store is not a failing store. It's a store working exactly the way it was designed to work. Here's why. When was the last time you bought a mattress? Take a second and actually think about it. For most people, the answer is a really, really long time ago. Experts say the average person buys a new mattress only about once every 7 to 10 years. Once a decade. You buy milk every week. You buy new shoes maybe once a year. But a bed? Basically never. So of course the store looks empty. If a store only needs to catch you once every 10 years, it is going to be quiet on most days. The emptiness isn't a bug. It's the entire design. Okay, you say, but if nobody's ever buying, how do they pay the rent? Great question. This is where it gets juicy. Mattresses have one of the biggest markups of almost anything you can buy. Markup is just a fancy word for the gap between what something costs to make and what you actually pay for it. According to Consumer Reports, markups of 40 to 50% are totally normal in the mattress world. And once a mattress costs more than $1,000, the markup gets even bigger. By some estimates, a mattress that costs only a few $100s to actually build can sell for a few thousand. Let that sink in. That's like buying a $5 pizza and then selling it for $50. So now do the math with me. The store does not need 100 customers a day like a busy restaurant does. It just needs to sell one expensive bed, and boom, that single sale can cover a big chunk of the bills. One quiet sale in a totally empty store can actually make more profit than a packed coffee shop makes selling coffee all day long. That is the secret sauce. Very few customers, but each customer is worth a whole lot. And that flips the entire thing on its head, doesn't it? The emptiness isn't a warning sign. It's a feature. But here's the catch. A giant markup only works if you can't tell you're being marked up. And that leads us straight into the sneakiest trick of the whole business, one you have probably fallen for without even knowing it. This one honestly blew my mind. It's called the name game. Here is exactly how it works. Let's say you're a smart shopper. You walk into store A and you find a mattress you love. Let's call it the Cloud Supreme. It's $1,500. Now you're clever, so you say, I'm not buying yet. I'm going to check other stores and compare prices first. Good for you. So you drive to store B down the road, but when you get there, you cannot find the Cloud Supreme anywhere. Instead, there's a mattress called the Dream Cloud 3000. Different name, slightly different cover, different price tag, and now you're standing there confused because you have no idea if it's a better deal or a worse deal. Here's the trick. That Dream Cloud 3000 is very often the exact same mattress as the Cloud Supreme. Same springs, same foam, same guts on the inside, just a different name slapped on it and a different color cover on the outside. And the mattress companies do this on purpose. They build the same bed, then give it a totally different name at every single store. Buying guides and consumer reports have been warning shoppers about this for years. So why in the world would they do that? Because it makes it almost impossible to compare prices. If you can never find the same mattress in two different stores, then you can never actually know if you're getting a great deal or getting completely ripped off. And when shoppers can't compare, stores get to charge more and protect those big fat markups we just talked about. It's genius, and it's a little bit sneaky. Some stores will even promise, we'll beat any competitor's price on the same mattress. And that sounds amazing, except you literally cannot find the same mattress anywhere else because it's got a different name at every store. The promise sounds super bold, but it costs them almost nothing. So now we've got two pieces of the puzzle. Giant markups, hidden behind the name game. But we still haven't explained how they afford to keep those big glowing stores open in the first place. And the answer is going to surprise you, because it turns out the store is mostly empty on purpose. Look closely at a mattress store the next time you pass one. It's a big room with maybe a dozen beds in it. That's basically it. And that is actually incredibly cheap to run compared to almost any other kind of store. Think about a grocery store for a second. It's stuffed with thousands of different products. It needs a whole crew of workers. Food goes bad and has to be thrown out. Stuff gets stolen. Now compare that to the mattress store. It's basically just a showroom, a fancy display room. There are only a handful of beds on the floor for you to lie down and test. And when you actually buy one, they don't rip the bed off the display floor and strap it to your car. They ship a brand new one to your house from a big warehouse somewhere else. So the store itself barely holds any inventory. Fewer beds sitting around means less money tied up and way less risk. And the workers? Usually just one or two salespeople, and they often get paid on commission. Commission means they earn most of their money only when they actually sell something. So when the store is sitting empty, it's not costing the owner a fortune in wages. Add it all up. Low inventory, few workers, and that giant sign out front does free advertising every single time somebody drives by. A mattress store is one of the cheapest kinds of stores there is to keep the lights on. Tiny costs, enormous markups, and the occasional big sale. Now you're really starting to see the machine. But this is where it gets a little wild. Because if these stores are so cheap to run and so profitable, one company had a genius, slightly crazy idea. What if we just put them absolutely everywhere? This is the part that makes people think something fishy is going on. Why are there sometimes two mattress stores right across the street from each other? Or three of them on the same block? That seems completely insane, right? But it's actually a real strategy, and it even has a name. Economists call it clustering. Here's the simple idea. When you finally decide it's time to buy a mattress, where do you go? You go to the area with the most mattress stores, so you can bounce between them and shop around all in one trip. So stores actually want to be near each other because that's exactly where the mattress shoppers show up. It's the same reason all the car dealerships are usually bunched together on one big road. Sitting right next to your competitor isn't dumb at all. It's where the customers already are. Now, one company took this idea and went absolutely bananas with it. That company is called Mattress Firm. Over the years, Mattress Firm bought up a ton of smaller mattress chains, brands like Sleepy's and Sleep Train, and turned them all into mattress firms. Their whole plan was to totally dominate every town by having way more stores than anybody else. In one town in Indiana, people reported 5 Mattress Firm stores within a single mile of each other. 5. At its peak, Mattress Firm had over 3,000 stores across the country. So this is why it started to feel like they were multiplying like bunnies. It wasn't magic, and it definitely wasn't a crime. It was one company on a giant shopping spree, gobbling up its rivals to try to own every single corner. Which, okay, finally brings us to the big one, the money laundering rumor. Because everything I just described, the empty stores, the everywhereness, the buying spree, is exactly what made the entire internet lose its mind. Back in 2018, someone posted a comment on the website Reddit that basically said, Mattress Firm has got to be a money laundering scheme. They're everywhere. They're always empty. None of it makes any sense. And the internet went completely bananas. The idea exploded. A huge YouTuber named Shane Dawson even made a video about it that got something like 20 million views. People were absolutely convinced they had cracked a secret crime hiding in plain sight. Mattress Firm actually responded to all of it. They tweeted out a joking meme, basically going, "Us reading all your comments right now," and just laughed the whole thing off. And their boss came right out and said the money laundering claim was completely false. So what was the actual truth? Here's what really happened. And honestly, it's a pretty wild story all on its own. Mattress Firm had been bought by a giant company all the way from South Africa called Steinhoff. And right around this exact time, Steinhoff got caught in a massive accounting scandal. Basically, they'd been fibbing about their money on paper. Now, this part is really important. That's accounting fraud, which means lying about your numbers. It is not money laundering, which means hiding criminal cash. Those are two totally different things, and the internet completely mixed them up. And on top of all that, remember how Mattress Firm bought up all those rival chains and jammed stores onto every corner? Well, it turned out to be way too many stores. A whole bunch of them were losing money, sitting right next to each other, splitting up the same small group of customers. So later in 2018, Mattress Firm filed for something called Chapter 11 bankruptcy. Now that sounds super scary, but it's really just a legal tool that lets a company hit the pause button, cancel its worst deals, and clean up its own mess. Mattress Firm used it to close around 700 of those extra stores, the ones that were parked way too close together. And here's the real kicker. They were back up on their feet in about 2 months. So it was never a secret criminal empire. It was just a company that grew way, way too fast and then had to trim itself back down. So those empty stores, the ones everybody was so suspicious about, they weren't fronts for crime at all. They were just a super clever, and sometimes a little overstretched, business doing exactly what it was built to do. Selling you one very marked up bed, once a decade, out of a cheap little showroom, on a corner it fought hard to own. The truth really was stranger than the rumor. Now, quick heads up, because this story isn't even over yet. In the last few years, the whole game started changing. Companies like Casper came along and started selling mattresses straight to you online, squished down into a box that just shows up at your front door. No showroom needed at all. Pretty soon, there were over 170 online mattress brands all fighting for your attention. And then plot twist. In 2025, one of the biggest mattress makers in the entire world, a company called Tempur Sealy, bought Mattress Firm itself, the actual stores, for around $5 billion and renamed the whole company. So now the same company that makes the beds also owns the stores that sell them. The mattress world just keeps getting stranger. But let's zoom all the way out, because here's what I really want you to walk away with. An empty mattress store is not a mystery, and it is definitely not a crime scene. It's actually one of the sneakiest smart businesses hiding right in plain sight. You've got beds that people only buy once a decade, marked up like crazy, hidden behind a name game, so you can't compare prices, sold out of a cheap little showroom on a corner that one company fought really hard to own. That is the real secret. Not money laundering, just really, really good economics. So the next time you drive past one of those quiet, glowing, totally empty mattress stores, you don't have to wonder how in the world they stay in business anymore. You can just smile, because now you know exactly what's going on inside. And if this totally changed the way you see those stores, go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe, because the world is absolutely full of these hidden in plain sight money machines. And trust me, we are just getting started. I'll see you in the next one. If you found this video valuable, leave a like, subscribe, and comment below which business you want me to cover next.